Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. I'm back after my first 2-week absence that I can remember. So anyway, I want to thank my beautiful and intelligent wife for suggesting I check out this video. It's actually a series of videos from Russell Brand's Instagram. It's this wonderful interview where two channel favorites of ours, Russell Brand and Paul Saladino, get together and pretty much debunk veganism. No, of course not. They don't do anything remotely close to that. As we'll see here, it's a joke as usual with these two. What they say about veganism, just a bunch of nonsense and complete misinformation. So let's jump right in.
In a way, what is morally and ethically suggested is that you should be eating meat that is reared locally and killed respectfully.
Alright, so just a few seconds in and a lot of nonsense to unpack here. It's morally okay to kill things as long as they're local and you do it with respect. But let's start off with local. I don't understand how the proximity of someone to you has anything to do with the morality of killing that someone. I mean, if someone's 2 feet from you, it's okay to kill that person, but if they're 20 feet or 2,000 feet or 2,000 miles away, it's morally worse. I don't see how proximity has diddly squat to do with morality when it comes to ethically killing a sentient being. And he talks about killing someone with respect. So somehow that makes killing okay. Again, just like with proximity and distance from you, I understand how if you kill someone with respect, that makes it moral. Like if a murderer goes out, well, I'm going to murder all these people here, but I'm going to murder them with respect, then that just makes, oh, totally cool. Just tell the judge, oh, you murdered them respectfully? You're cool, bro. I mean, that absurd argument that Russell Brand gave there just shows you the extreme mental gymnastics that people like him need to go through in order to satisfy in their own minds that they're doing something moral when they kill sentient beings or agents who pursue their own goals, who don't want to die and give up their lives so that you can have a hamburger.
Even though death is always terrible and there's something brutal about, death, life eats death. That's the price, man.
In order for something to live, something else must die.
I mean, this is just so disingenuous, this bullshit argument. I know what they're trying to do here. Again, more mental gymnastics. They're trying to make some kind of false equivalence here between the morality of eating meat and plants. Because, yeah, everything that you eat was once alive. Life comes from death, all that bullshit talking points. Well, what they're failing to mention is that you don't have to eat once living sentient agents. You can eat plants. I mean, there's a huge difference there. Yes, a plant had to die, had to be pulled out of the ground and farmed and all that stuff, but no one got killed there. There was no sentient being there. I mean, let's be completely honest with ourselves, all you meat eaters who think there's no difference between a piece of kale and a pig. I mean, you know very darn well, you could easily pull a kale out of the ground, pull an apple off a tree, but unless you're a complete sociopath, you probably would have some trouble slaughtering a pig yourself. Not only because it's a horrible, physically demanding process, it's a very traumatic psychological process to slit an animal's throat, watch it bleed out, knowing that you just ended a sentient being's life. But I did it with respect, and the pig lived right outside my window, so it's totally cool. I mean, if that crazy scenario is really true, I mean, you're even more of a moral monster. That shows that you have no problem slaughtering what are basically your pets.
If you and I were in a tribe...
I'm sorry, Paul, I don't think you and I would ever be in a tribe, and if so, what kind of tribe? Just some imaginary tribe? But continue.
We would not have an ethical qualm about eating meat. What we would do is we would hunt it respectfully.
All right, back to the dreaded respectful thing again, Paul. But anyway, now I know why he's trying to paint this picture of us being in a tribe together. Silliness. He's trying to take us back hundreds, if not thousands of years back before modern civilization that we all find ourselves in right now. But this thought experiment is very disingenuous, trying to compare hundreds or thousands of years ago to now the present, because once again, it's a false equivalence. The present times are nothing like the past times when it comes to food availability. Most people living in tribes in the distant past weren't thinking about the ethical, moral choices of their foods, and they didn't have the luxury that we have now. They were trying to eat and stay alive to make it to the next day. So what Paul said is so absurd because none of us today live anything like how these people did in the past, trying to survive day to day. Paul Saladino, me, and all you watching have the ability to go to supermarkets or local bodegas or even little 7-Elevens. You can go to Walmart, Costco, all sorts of places and buy food. They stock these places with food. And at these stores that are stocked with food, you have the ability to buy buy plants as food. So now, unlike any time in the past, in our modern times, we have the ability to make moral decisions regarding the food we buy, the food we eat. Now we can decide for ourselves, hey, animal cruelty and exploitation are wrong, and I'm not going to participate in those practices and instead buy plant foods.
If you and I were in a tribe, we would not have an ethical qualm about eating meat.
Yeah, so really nice try there, doing some kind of weird appeal to nature or appeal to some kind of romanticized ideal of how you fantasize people live in the past. But those times of needing to try to eat whatever you could, whatever was available in order to survive to the next day, those days are long gone. And these lame attempts to appeal to how people lived in your fantasies from 200 or 2,000 years ago just shows you again what extreme mental gymnastics people need to go through in order to justify something that they know is wrong.
You go to the grocery store, you have a disembodied steak, and we've lost, dare I say, the spirituality of eating meat.
Oh my God, really? The spirituality of eating meat? I mean, if that's the case, is there a spirituality of eating broccoli? Is there a spirituality of eating potatoes? Why does having an animal get killed for you bring about that to be a spiritual food? But if I just peacefully pull a potato out of the ground, it's not a spiritual food? Again, more extreme mental gymnastics bullshit. Oh, but what if I pulled out that local potato respectfully? All right, let's move on from the absurd to the completely absurd. So now Russell Brand thinks he has the slam dunk reason why it's great to eat a bunch of meat, because it gave him abs?
Eating meat has changed me constitutionally, but don't take my word for it.
I was gonna say, that's amazing.
Yes, you caught us there really good, Russell Brand. Yeah, vegans can't touch that. We all know it's just physiologically impossible for vegans to have abs, unfortunately.
That's the first time I've had abs in my whole life. What's going on? Tell me the science.
His first time having abs his whole life? He's either lying or doesn't remember having abs when he was a vegan in 2010. Meat didn't uniquely give you abs. You had them when you were a vegan. And since we're playing the anecdote game, here's me, a vegan with abs. Amazing.
So once again, you see the extreme mental gymnastics people often go through, lying to themselves in Russell Brand's case here, to prove to themselves that it's morally okay to eat meat because, you know, animals can die totally fine. I got abs, brah.
Humans throughout our history have always treasured meat. It's at the top of their sort of hierarchy of foods they want to eat.
Like, how do you even know this? Was there any survey records kept from like prehistoric times about the preferences of our ancient ancestors' food preferences? No, you're just making crap up again. And even if that were true, once again, so effing what? What people did thousands of years ago has no real application to what our lives are like right now. I mean, Paul, if you really want to live like a caveman, be a caveman. Just do it, man. I don't want to see your ass on the internet anymore because cavemen did not have the internet.
So when you are not eating meat as a vegan, which is, you know, that's your right. You're a sovereign human. You can make an intentional choice.
Why does that even need to be clarified, Paul? Is that in doubt? Is that in question? Of course, I'm a sovereign agent.
It's very, very hard to get these nutrients that are central to human thriving, right? And things like creatine, which gets a lot of press today.
I find this calling out of creatine quite rich because athletes for decades have been supplementing with creatine, which means vegans could supplement with creatine as well, whether you're an athlete or not.
But other things like carnitine or anserine or taurine, all of these nutrients, they're critical.
I mean, that's his assertion about these nutrients, but that doesn't reflect the scientific consensus. Just a quick, simple Google search shows that none of these nutrients that Paul is saying are essential for human thriving are essential nutrients that humans need to supplement with or eat a ton of meat in order to get, or else we're gonna like die or get really sick or something. So let's switch gears now and see what the actual scientific consensus is on this matter. And as you'll see here, health organizations from around the world have reviewed the scientific literature regarding nutrition, diets, and plant-based eating, and there is a clear consensus that a well-planned vegan diet is nutritionally adequate for all people. You hear that, Paul?
But I believe that if you eat food for humans, you can correct or reverse the majority of chronic illness that we suffer from as humans today.
Oh, really? There's some special diet that Paul is promoting that reverses most disease? I mean, whoever heard such grifter nonsense before?
My name is Shane Sterling. Did you know that fruit sugar will heal all disease? Yes, it will.
I gotta laugh here. I find it more than ironic how Paul is promoting that his meat-based diet, as he call it, is the diet that's best known for reversing chronic disease. But if you ask Google what diet is best for the reversing of chronic illness, ironically, for Paul, it says a whole food plant predominant diet is generally considered best for reversing chronic illnesses. I have to admit, I take a small amount of pleasure knowing that when he sees such a result, it must really piss the F out of him, right? So at the end here, let's weigh out the evidence. So we saw like, appeal to abs, appeal to nature, or appeal to fantasies of how people lived in the past. And we saw some absurd and pathetic mental gymnastics used to try to make it somehow moral to kill sentient agents who are nearby to you, as long as you do it with respect. I, on the other hand, had the scientific evidence. I had the scientific consensus supporting what I've been saying. Furthermore, talking about logic and philosophy, I easily debunked and refuted every lame, pathetic argument that these two clowns threw out there. So I think it's pretty safe to conclude that veganism did not get debunked here by Russell Brand and Paul Saladino. Yep, we just barely squeaked by. No, just kidding, not even close. But what did you think? That's what I want to hear, so comment down below and let me know. But if you really thought that these two philosophical juggernauts had it right and everything I said was wrong, despite them not having any scientific organization supporting anything that they were saying, come to my live streams. Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Be civil, and we could most likely have a conversation. So until then, guys, I'll see you Friday. Remember, it doesn't suck being vegan.